Okay, let's take that down and say hello, Redmond.
Hello, everyone, and a Happy New Year. So it's the 1st of January, and today we're going to do a report about football all around the whole world.
Yes, this is going to be our first football, or Redmond's first football report. That's what we're calling it for now, Redmond's football report. And this is sort of a preview. The theory is we're going to do this live on Fridays as a preview for the weekend and a little bit of a recap of the week.
And then we'll tell you how the games went and who won, and if there's draws or losing, and who did and what was going to happen.
We'll do that on a Tuesday. The aim is to do this at 1800 hours CET, Central European Time. So in Eastern Europe, it will be 1900 hours. In Britain and Ireland, it's going to be about 5. In the United States, it's coming in around midday on the East Coast and 9 a.m. on the West Coast. If you're in Australia, China, India, you're on your own. You'll have to work out the time yourself. I'll figure it out and I'll put it around. This first time, we haven't got streaming running, so we're recording it and putting it up a little bit later. Right now, where we are, we're in Ireland, so it's 6:27 in Ireland, but I'm going to operate off Central European time, so right now, as far as I'm concerned,
we're going to stop.
It is 19 hours 27. So we have 14 games to get through today. It's going to be broken up into, we're going to pick a top game in each of the 5 continents. Sorry, Oceania. Australia counts as part of Asia. Top game from each of those, then a little bit of feature bit somewhere around the middle, and then a couple of our own favourites. So, Redmond, what are your favourite teams? Which teams are we likely going to be touching on regularly?
I think we might be touching a lot of really good teams.
No, which are your favourite teams, Redmond?
Oh, my favourite teams are Juventus, Barcelona, and Liverpool.
Anyone else in there?
Well, I like Atlanta.
Okay.
And I like Sassuolo.
Oh, well, it's good you mentioned those. He didn't mention it, but he also is a fan of Louisville City. He'd better like Watford FC here in Ireland. These two teams he shares with me. You like Benfica, don't you?
Yeah.
Mainz in Germany.
Yeah.
And Bayern to a lesser degree.
Yeah.
So you've got a few, and Olympique de Lyon, or Olympique Lyonnais. So there's a few teams. We're going to hopefully take in some women's teams too.
Maybe.
If we can get better lists of what games are on. What were you going to say?
And sorry, women, but I don't think we'll have any women's game today.
Not today, unfortunately. There's a couple of
women.
games in Australia I saw listed, but they weren't particularly exciting games. I'm sure there'll be exciting games, but the games we've picked for the most part are significant in some way or another. And we'll kick off by the game we would have been doing if it was 5:40 in the evening, not 5:40 in the morning. 6 hours 40 a.m. Central European time today, 1st of January. It was going to be the Emperor's Cup final, the Japanese FA Cup final. The teams involved were the team that won the league, which was Kawasaki Frontale, and Gamba Osaka, who were second. Now, Kawasaki Frontale, this was their first double that they completed because they won. It was pretty impressive. They only won 1-0, but Gamba Osaka they'd already beaten in the league about 5-0 to clinch the league about middle of November, I think it was. Yeah. Because of the COVID, only 2 J1 teams entered, which were obviously the top 2, and they made their way through to the final. It was mostly amateur teams competed in it this year. It's Kawasaki's first win of the Emperor's Cup. They had been sort of the eternal second. They'd been runners-up in a load of things for a long time. They finally did it. Particularly interesting were 2 midfielders. Kaoru Mitoma, I apologise for pronunciation. He scored the goal. He's a young midfielder in his first real season there.
Yeah.
I think he's a winger and he scored 11 goals in 22 starts this year in the league. And more importantly, Kengo Nakamura. He didn't play. He's 40. He has been one club man all his life with Kawasaki Frontale, and he's won everything with them, pretty much, except I think one second division championship. They won promotion in I think it's 2004, and to be there to do the double with them is remarkable and a great way to end his career. No, we're not going to talk about that one. We're instead going to talk about the other Japanese Cup final, which is taking place on Monday at 6 hours 35 in the morning. It is between Kashiwa Reysol and FC Tokyo. Tokyo finished 6th, Reysol finished 7th in the league, and this is the J-League Cup. Both have won it twice, but neither have been a losing finalist. So whoever wins this means that there's somebody is tasting defeat in the League Cup for the first time. FC Tokyo had been runners-up in the J-League last year. They finished 6th in the league this year, while Kashiwa Reysol they won J2 last year. They'd been relegated, so it's a good first season back. I've got to fancy Tokyo for this. What do you think?
Well, Tokyo did just slightly better, and I think the scores might be a really tough one. 0-0 first half, no goals, and maybe just a little goal for Tokyo at the 90th at extra time in the 90 minutes.
That's his decision on the game. We're moving from Asia now to Europe, where we're going to go to Spain first and foremost. There's a couple of interesting games on in there. First, we're going to talk about a game that is a big one.
A really big one.
There's no massive games in Spain this weekend, but this one is the Seville Derby, or El Gran Derby, which has been going since 1915.
Yes.
It's between Real Betis, who are the home side, and Sevilla, who I think a lot of people worldwide know. Currently, Betis are 10th in La Liga and Sevilla are 4th. Now, an interesting thing about this is they have an odd connection. Patrick O'Connell, the Irishman, managed both teams back in the 30s and the 40s. He brought the league title, La Liga title, to Betis for the first and so far only time in 1935. And then I can't remember if it's before or after he managed Betis a second time. He also brought Sevilla to second place. They eventually won it in 45-46 under Ramon Encinas, or Encinas. I'm not too sure how it's pronounced. He is Spanish. So Patrick O'Connell, an interesting link. This is going to be the 115th derby. It's roughly 45% of the time it's been won by Sevilla, 31% of the time by Betis. The most high-profile meeting between the two was in probably the 2013-14 Europa League round of 16. Sevilla went on to win the Europa League that year, but they very nearly went out to Betis. It went to penalties to separate the two after both sides managed to win 2-0 in the away ground in their home city. Thoughts, Redmond? Who do you think is going to win that?
So I think it might be Real Betis with scoring 2-0 in first half, one at the 10th minute and one at the 35th minute. Then a great comeback from Sevilla with a goal at the 55th minute, the 68th minute, and the 89th minute. And then just slips in the second half for Real. Betis gets a goal at the 90th minutes, and then it goes to penalties.
No, it doesn't, because it's the league. So there you have it. It seems like Redmond has got a direct line into the Asian betting circles, where he's giving such incredible detail. Put all your money on all those times. Rewind and watch again. That game is on Saturday at 16 hours 15. And personally, I suspect Betis will wing it at the moment. Why are you removing your hands from the video? We're going to turn now to what's going on Sunday at 21 hours. This time played in the shadow of the Pyrenees almost, as SD Huesca, who are currently 20th, play Barcelona, who are even more disappointingly, even though much higher, 6th in La Liga again. Barcelona have been struggling, but Huesca look like they're going down. Their last game was actually a 0-0 draw in Huesca's first season in La Liga, which means that it is, I think, September 2018 since Barcelona have beaten them. But they've only played twice in La Liga. Barcelona are going to be missing Messi, Piqué, Ansu Fati, and a few other players. So this is Huesca's best chance of a win, surely. Redmond, what do you think?
So I think they're losing so much players. 1-0 just slips in for Barcelona, but then falls in the second half with 2 goals for the other side.
So Huesca are going to beat Barcelona.
Because they have so many players can't play. Mm-hmm. It just wins.
Well, without Messi, Barcelona is not the same team. So I don't know if it's going to be 2-1. I suspect it's going to be a horrible game and end up 1-0, but that's me. 1-0 to Huesca, oddly enough. We're in agreement on the biggest upset of the weekend. Right. We'll jump now to Africa and to Ghana, where on Sunday, is it Sunday? Yes, Sunday at, no, I'm looking at the wrong thing. Tomorrow, Saturday at 16 hours, we have it's not a massive game, but I found this the most interesting game in Africa over the weekend, especially seeing as the best game, which was going to be the top tabletop game between Esperance and Étoile du Sahel in Tunisia. Tunisia is already over at this point. Actually, I should check that out. But while I'm checking that out, this game is between Hearts of Oak and Bechem United in the Ghanaian Premier League. It's an unusual one. Hearts of Oak, massive team. They have 20 titles. They're the second biggest team in Ghana, but they haven't won the title since 2008. So right now, they're languishing down in 8th. Meanwhile, Bechem United they've never won, and they won the Ghanaian FA Cup, I think, once in about 4 years ago. Currently, they are actually first and undefeated after, admittedly, only 6 games. They're 3 points clear as well. Corruption meant that there was no league in 2018 and that the competition was abandoned. The following year was a sort of a normalization competition. Last year was cancelled by COVID. We're looking at 2 teams who are a huge contrast to each other, Edmund. Hearts of Oak, they're from Accra, massive super city. Their stadium, they play with a number of other teams at the Accra's Sports Stadium, and it holds 40,000 people. In contrast, Bechem, Bechem, the city, has a population of about 17,000. So basically, Hearts of Oak Stadium will hold twice the population of that city, plus the entire contents of their stadium, which is the Nana Giabor Park. Redmond, who do you think is going to win this?
So we know Hearts of Oak is 8th and Bechem United is 1st. So I think in the first half there's not going to be much, but a 1-0 win for Bechem United.
Bechem United.
And then in the second half, concede another goal to make it 2-0 for Bechem United.
Okay, 2-0 to Bechem. I reckon it's going to be a 1-1 draw there myself. Hearts of Oak they're one of those too big to go down types. They haven't been doing it, but this is in their home stadium. There could be more people at that match than there are actually living in Bechem. So I fancy a draw there. That's me. To give you the update on the game between Esperance and Étoile du Sahel in Tunisia, it was 2-0 to Esperance, and they extend their lead at the top of the table there in Tunisia.
And in Tunisia, the other team is 3rd.
Yes. Excuse me. Now, that was a tabletop game between the two. And yes, as Redmond says, Étoile du Sahel are now 3rd. They've fallen in the ranks. A little bit of a feature thing. We're going to look at Scotland. Now, Scotland traditionally has this interesting thing on New Year's Day. They have a tradition of having derbies take place on that day. So traditionally, you'd have the old firm clash between Rangers and Celtic, the two big Glasgow teams. You'd have Dundee play Dundee United. You'd have Hibernian play against Hearts, the two Edinburgh teams, and so on and so forth across the country. I would imagine Hamilton might play Partick Thistle, them both being close enough. So we have an interesting thing going on. That's a long-standing tradition. They fix it for that day every year. I think it's a nice tradition. Personally, I really enjoy it that derby days happen at the same time. It does mean that everything gets focused on the old firm, but nevertheless, it's intriguing. So this year, there's only one of those proper traditional old school derbies going on, and it is the game between Celtic, who are currently second, and Rangers, who are running away with it this year.
Sorry? I think they're first.
They are first, indeed. It's 5 kilometres from Ibrox to Celtic Park. That game is on Saturday the 2nd at 13 hours 30. More interesting in some senses are the other games. Obviously, they're not going to be as important. But we have Aberdeen, sort of the third power of Scottish football, playing Dundee United. Now, for me, this is exciting. Dundee not being there means that somehow Dundee United is practically the nearest team to Aberdeen, which is basically 105 kilometres, which is quite a distance. This game is taking place at 16 hours tomorrow. For me, it's a mid-table 1980s clash. When I started following football, in a weird moment, there was, I think, 4 years or something like that, or 3 years, when neither Celtic nor Rangers won the league. Aberdeen won it 3 times. Dundee United won it once. They both did really well. I think Dundee United got to the semi-finals of the European Cup, and they got to the final and lost to IFK Gothenburg in the UEFA Cup. In the case of Aberdeen, they beat Real Madrid in the Cup Winners' Cup, which is pretty impressive. So that's an exciting one. And Hibs, who are Dundee United are 5th and Aberdeen are 3rd. Hibs, who are in 4th, are playing Livingston in 6th. Now, obviously, it should be Hearts against Hibs, and it should be Dundee against Dundee United, but they're both now in the Scottish Championship. They got relegated. Livingston's a brand new city. It's post-dates World War II. It's named after the village that it basically consumed. It's approximately 25 kilometres from Edinburgh. It was known as Meadowbank Thistle. So it's interesting to see them up in 5th. Hibs and them, I've got to fancy. The teams I'm fancying, Rangers Celtic, because it means so much, I think that could be a draw. Celtic need to win it. I don't think they've got it in them to win it this year. The energy seems to be with Rangers, but I think they can get a draw out of it and hope for Rangers to sort of slide. Aberdeen against Dundee. It's hard not to fancy Aberdeen, but I've always loved Dundee. So we'll hope for Dundee United there. And Hibs against Livingston. I think it's going to be Hibs. Redmond, what do you think? You don't need to give scores. Just an idea. Who do you think is going to win those games? Rangers and Celtic?
Oh, that is going to be a tough game. I think it's just going to be 0-0.
Oh, right. 0. Aberdeen against Dundee United. Aberdeen in 3rd, Dundee United in 5th.
Well, I think it might be 1-0 to Aberdeen.
1-0 to Aberdeen. And Hibernian in 4th against Livingston in 6th.
The team who's 4th, I think
Hibs.
Will get a good win with 1-0.
Okay, nothing controversial here. Move along. And moving along, let's go back to South America. We haven't been looking there yet. We still have to look at North and Central America. And we're going to also look at some of our own sort of little favourite teams. South America, the big competition at the moment is the Copa Diego Armando Maradona in Argentina.
And you could hear and just a little bit of sad updates. Maradona's dead.
There we go. But we've left that year behind and the sadness with it too. This massive game is happening in the early hours on Sunday, the 3rd of January at 1 hours 30. Boca are host River Plate, their deadly rival in the Copa Diego Armando Maradona. It's a filler competition to replace the full-size league that was meant to be taking place. It's a ridiculously large league. We will talk about the Argentine league at some point. The competition got renamed following the great man's death into being the Copa Diego Armando Maradona. With these two deadly rivals, it's actually the first game they've played since 2019, largely owing to COVID cancellations.
And it's great.
And when they played in 2019, they played twice. Ordinarily, they're playing once a season at the moment because of the way that the league is set up. They played twice in the Copa Libertadores knockout stages. They've met there several times. Right now, they're going to be playing, respectively, Boca against Santos and Palmeiras against River Plate in the Copa Libertadores semis. They may end up playing again in the final as they did in 2018. We will have to see what will happen there. Redmond, Boca against River. They're both at the top, same points in their group in the Copa Maradona. Who do you think's going? Sorry?
What place are they?
Argentina.
I mean, what?
Oh, they're the same points. Boca are slightly ahead on goal difference.
But what place of like
First and second.
So first, I think it's just going to be another 0-0.
Another 0-0 draw. I fancy Boca to win it. I don't know that they're necessarily better or stronger, but they're playing in a competition that's named for one of their favourites. Racing back into Europe, I'm going to quickly note on Saturday at 19 hours, one of my favourite teams, Sporting Club de Portugal, playing against Braga. Sporting are top of the league. Braga are second in the Liga NOS. They're charging away. They've been but Braga have been, in my opinion, doing better than Boavista have since Boavista won the league at the beginning of the century. They've been doing a better job to establish themselves as the fourth team in Portuguese football. I'm obviously going to tip Sporting at home to a smaller club. Redmond, Sporting against Braga, your thoughts?
Oh, I think Braga, I haven't really heard till this day.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they are a little team. So I think it might be 1-0 to Sporting.
I'm going for 3-0. I'm optimistic. Other team that I like, on Sunday at 15 hours in Italy, in Bergamo, we have Atalanta, who are currently 7th against Sassuolo in 4th in Serie A. These have been the most entertaining sides in Italy this past year, the most interesting certainly. Atalanta need to get their act together to get back into Europe. They've slid a little bit lately. More worryingly, Sassuolo has slid greatly. They're not falling like a stone, but they were top of the league a little while back, or at the top of the league alongside Milan. They've only been in Europe once. The 2016 group stages of the Europa League was the best they did. Historically, the last time that Sassuolo won this game or this fixture was in 2014.
When I was born.
Yes, yeah, he is this long since Sassuolo won. Redmond, who do you think is going to win this? How do you think this game is going to go?
I'd fancy Sassuolo to win. So I think I would, but I think it might be 2-1 to Atalanta.
So you fancy the away team to win it?
But I think Atalanta's going to win, but I hope Sassuolo is going to win it.
Well, Atalanta have been the most entertaining team to watch. There's going to be goals. I think only Roma and Inter have scored more than them, so I fancy Atalanta. Either way, I would expect that to be an exciting game. Next up, we go stay in Italy, and we go to Sunday at 20 hours 45 Central European time.
And
as
it's
Juventus against Udinese. Redmond, Juventus are 6th, Udinese are 12th. There's 9 points in 6th place between the two, but they both lost their last game against Benevento and Fiorentina. Benevento is who beat Udinese. They're both underperforming. Udinese have a minor injury crisis. They're missing 7 players, many of whom would be first teamers in my opinion. But they've 3 wins between the teams. Udinese have surprisingly won 3 of the last 20, but 2 of them were away, and their very last game against Juventus in Udine was when they won. Redmond, how do you think that game's going to go? Juventus against Udinese, the two teams in black and white stripes.
9-0 Juventus.
Okay.
9.
Ronaldo, Dybala, and Bernardeschi, and all the boys are going to be having to work overtime. Without Cuadrado, I don't know where they're going to get 9, but I can see them easily getting 3-0 with a penalty from Ronaldo. That's what I'm going to say.
Because Ronaldo always does the penalties.
Okay. Well, the last of our global previews this week is
Liverpool.
No, that's the last of our previews. That's your personal preview. Our global previews, the ones where we pick one game from each continent. The last of those games from each continent this week is on Sunday. It's in the Copa America between Club Deportivo Marathon and FC Motagua. Motagua finished second in their group in the Apertura in Honduras' Liga Nacional, and this is the playoff semis. Meanwhile, Marathon finished top of their group. So it's first from Group B against second in Group A. Actually, I have it wrong. No, I don't actually have it wrong there. These are two different cities. San Pedro Sula against, and I apologize for the pronunciation here, Tegucigalpa. It's the second leg. Motagua are 2-0 up from the first leg. But this game obviously being played in San Pedro Sula. But Motagua are one of the big teams of Honduras. So you'd have to expect them to be favourites here. And favourites to go through and meet the winners of whoever is top of the Vida Olympia semi-final, which is also on the same time.
Same place?
No, not the same place. It's on the same time. It's the second leg there. There was 0-0 in the first round in Vida, so Olympia host that. Redmond, who do you think is going to win this Honduran clash?
So I think it's going to be first half nothing goals-wise. Mm-hmm. It's going to be then 1-0 for Group B first place.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know what that means, but I'm going to fancy Marathon to win 1-0 or 2-1, to win by a goal, but to go out. Personally, I think we're going to see an Olympia against Motagua final. And finally, our last preview is for Monday evening at 21 hours Central European time. Yes, who is it?
It's Liverpool versus Southampton.
Which is actually Southampton versus Liverpool, because that's where it's being played, is in the New Dell in Southampton. Or is it St. Mary's Stadium? I can never remember. Anyway, Southampton are 9th, Liverpool are 1st in the English Premier League. Southampton has been kind of Liverpool's bargain basement of lately. For Liverpool, they're missing a lot of defenders. Virgil van Dijk, a former Southampton player, is out, as is Jota, Gomez, Matip, Tsimikas, and Naby Keita. Nathan Redmond and Vestergaard are out for Southampton. Now, Southampton last beat Liverpool in the league in March 2016, where Sadio Mane scored twice for Southampton as a sub, with Virgil van Dijk starting for Southampton. Of Liverpool's players that day, 11 plus 3, 14, including the subs, only Divock Origi is still there. Redmond, who do you think is going to win between Liverpool and Southampton?
Well, that took a lot.
Sit up so people can hear you.
People got taken out, so I reckon it might actually be 1-0 just by Divock Origi, the man who saved the World Champions League for Liverpool. Okay.
I'm going to go for 3-1. I don't think Southampton have the firepower at the moment. And I think Liverpool do, even with a weaker defence. They still have Alisson in goal, and they still have ultimately more about them, in my opinion. Anyway, that's our show for now. We will be back on Tuesday. Don't know if it's going to be live. Don't know if it's going to be recorded. We're going to aim for 18 hours CET, which is 5 o'clock in Ireland and Britain, which is 7 o'clock, 19 hours in Eastern Europe. It's in and on the US West Coast. we are looking, or sorry, on the East Coast in Eastern time, it is 12 Eastern time and 9 a.m. in, what do you call the West Coast? California. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you got something out of this. I swear we're going to get this down to just a bare 20 minutes yet. That's the aim, 20 minutes. We've just hit 30. Anyway, thanks a million for watching. This doesn't get edited, so you have to deal with our faces for now. Take care. Wave bye, Redmond.
Bye, everyone.
Go on. Do you want to say anything more?
Bye.
Thanks for watching.
Next time on Redmond Football Report. And don't forget to subscribe and ring that bell.
Yes.
And don't forget to hit that like button.